We are delighted to be here to design, in honor of Jack Layton, a staging ground for Canadian idealism, which is really who he was and what he represented. We listened to the stakeholders at our last meeting, at our midterm review, and we want to remind you that almost 6,000 people per hour will be using this facility in season. 6,000 people, which is so much. We have looked at this site holistically to create a seamless, iconic, and welcoming destination. Our boards and our model and our report are on display for further information. Now I'm going to let Will come. And I don't know, should I look over your shoulder?
You can be where you like, my dear. Well, we've enjoyed this process so far until right now. But I think it's worth remembering that this is it's a master plan competition. If we are lucky enough, alone or with others, to win, we do recognize that this is it's the beginnings of a conversation, and that's one of the things that I think we do very well, which is to engage people in conversation to actually figure out what the best thing is to do, and most importantly, what's the most enjoyable thing to do. So let's look at tonight's presentation as a bit of a dip. It can only get better from here on. There are I think, many things that have been said tonight, which I think have been recognized by everyone. So I'll try not to say those. I might not be able to avoid repeating some of those things. I also think there is something very special about being by the water. Clearly, the waterfront has been under some criticism from when I first started to come here in 2000, and thankfully there's a splendid job that's been done that actually encourages people to go down to the water, and there's still quite a big job to do, as you well know. So what we're trying to do here, our big moves are to create a place to be. The park is the terminal, you've heard that before tonight. It's an attractor. It should be fun. I'm often told off about using the word fun in my architecture, but I tell you, fun is a really serious business. And if you don't pay attention to it, you're nowhere. Because in the end, that's how you're judged. Do people enjoy being there? Can they do what they want? Want a continuous walk by the water? That's an important principle for us. We want to make the terminal visible. You've heard from others how invisible it is at the moment, and we are no exception. The park is a place to wait in an enjoyable way. And I think we've seen in some of the presentations some very young people occupying this space. I'd like to say a word for the old. And there'd be plenty of places to sit. Sit and do something, sit and do nothing if you want, I don't care. But I think sitting is a vastly underestimated and underappreciated activity. Oh, you can do that again. I love you. Removal of the tunnel to the car park. You've also heard that. It's clearly that you don't want to feel that you're going down a drain. Opening up the eastern view, we think is very important because there's other work to be done by Waterfront and others in that route. It's a place that should lead to somewhere. At the moment, it's a dead end. And therefore, that relates obviously to our main axis, which is east-west. I go this way, do I? That was a painting, and that's a poem. You can read the poem in the book if you're interested. It's all about yearning. We took our inspiration, obviously, from the water and from the waves, which you'll see in our presentation, in our proposal. That's the Young Street slip. Horrible. It's the sort of place I go to regularly, actually. It's sort of, you do develop an affection for some of these places in a perverse sort of way. And then the other thing which comes, obviously, is there's vast numbers of people in the summer and very few people in the winter, by comparison. We'd like to change that. Clearly, the ticketing arrangements, which has already been mentioned, will change. We don't know exactly how, but there are a number of ways of doing it, and I wish they'd bring that to the subway system too. Excuse me having to do this. Okay, that's more or less the existing situation. People are channeled through to this compound that's been referred to, having purchased a ticket, and then they wait and they get on the ferry. Not good enough. By comparison, our proposal, the whole of the park is a waiting area. There is only one security element, which is along here. So obviously where the people are getting on ships and off ships, they are controlled, but beyond that line there, everything is free. That's very important. So we still recognize a lot of people come from the city, from this Bay Street axis. I've noticed that Bay Street has a bit of a kink in it, but anyway, apart from that, it is an important link through to Queen's Quay, and then into our park area, which has a number of wonderful things to do and to play. So we're spreading out all of that into a wider area and obviously making the link to the west. The island visitors, i.e. whether they're from France or from anywhere else, obviously will tend to emerge from here. In the busy summer months, we envisage going through still this link to the boats, but here there will be the availability of buying tickets here, as well as a more permanent ticket station which shall come. We still believe people want to buy tickets and then onto the boat itself. There's the island residence, where we see the role of Young Street slip as being very important. It's very useful to them, places to store goods, to look after, of course, these are the users that know the ferry terminal the best. There is a security line along the back if and when it needs to be used. There is a place above here where you can wait in the warm. There are also places down below. But also there's security, not only here, but also at that little corner there as you come down the slip. And then we've landscaped the slip as well. In fact, the view back up Young Street, we think, is very important. The Ireland schools, clearly the buses stop here at the moment and drop the school children off, and that's in Bay Street, and that's been done. I'm sorry, it's quite difficult, really.
The problem is the images that aren't on the computer.
I'll just do a bit of a sort of thing over here.
Do you want to shift it
if
around
I can.
more?
No, it's okay. You can hear me if you don't see me, yeah? No, if I do that, you can hear me, yeah? Good. And then I can see it as well. So here the mothers and fathers can drop their loved ones off, go around, turn around and go back. Obviously, we've moved the road over. Clearly, we'd like to look at an alternative for that, which is in this area. If we're successful, we'd pose that question. And that's very important. And then you come into, there are two structures here, a warm waiting room, obviously for the winter. And there's also a children's area where they can play, wait, they could be educated. There's a number of things and opportunities you could do that. And then they're off to the ferry, on the ferry rather. There's, not the least of which, are the people who work down at the ferry terminal. Clearly, again, the slip is a very important part to them. Again, there's things being delivered, things being turned around. There's traffic coming off the ferry here, going off in that direction. So this actually is an important working area for the whole ferry, but still should be enjoyable with plenty of security and leverages. Does that work? No? Okay. We're carrying as we are. And then, of course, the people living in the condominiums, we have been careful to maintain the area there and turn around, which is very much their space. But of course, what they gain is a great park in front with many, many things to do. So we have a number of zones. We have the waterfront connection, and this is what I mean. The connection goes through east west, east, and opens up this view to the east, which is absolutely vital. As you can see more clearly here. Then we have the terminal building itself, which is elevated, which contains a variety of things, which can be from eating and drinking, close to my stomach, that is, and other things in the future. And then also an elevated walkway, which actually helps frame the view from here over to the islands, which of course is the ultimate destination, but not for all, of course. We also cut off part of the dock here to actually square up this bit of water and to continue the walkway along the edge. So you can do a continuous walk by the water and don't have to leave it, much as you do at the moment. You have to disappear back to rediscover the water at the moment. Whoops. So coming to the ferry terminal from in the winter here, there's a number of these various objects, which are called lumbrellas. They're lights, they're cooling devices. We use earth tubes underneath to actually draw cool air up through tables, as well as umbrellas. It does rain even in Toronto. This is and then as you get closer, the number of things, there should be tables under here. There are a number of these street creatures, the tickets, which can be selling vegetables, they can be selling ice creams, soft drinks. Also, they can they can also be wheeled away. We have the elevated walkway coming along here, terminating in a broad terrace at this end to allow you to descend downstairs. There's an elevator here to take you back to Queen's Quay. And then you arrive in the ferry space itself. There are various doors here which lead you through, this is your security. This is one of the waiting areas, and beyond that is the children's area. We see this as being having shadow casters. Shadows come through this material, which looks as though it's been ripped out of one plane to allow an interesting play with shadows in this particular part, and again opening up the view to the east. Or if you have the time or the inclination, you can reside inside the ferry terminal building, either on a mezzanine or on the main floor, and just look at the boats or ducks. This is the east terrace, again with shade and light, and there's nothing more fascinating than being able to sit and look at people getting on and off boats, and who knows, you might be persuaded to get on the boat yourself. And at night, there's a warm glow on the inside, and I'm going to hand over very quickly to Janet.
Thank you. I'm sorry, but we can't see anything on our computer when we change, so maybe I'll be louder than you will.
You might.
Yeah. So Zone 4 was the landforms and the groves, as you can see on the plan, and over here. And this was a holistic design that really knits together all the park elements, the landforms, the water, the paving together, all very seamlessly. And of course, the ferry terminal itself, which we look at as, we don't separate it. We think that that's all very much part of the park, that you come to the park and you decide to go over to the island, you come back from the island and you decide to do other things in the park. And so there's a seamlessness that can happen with time tickets that we had sort of thought about. Oops, am I going? Hold on. No. Where am I? So, no, the other way. So, we did that. Okay, here we are, thank you. This we called our birch perspective. This really tells you what it's like to go on the east-west connector. We're incredibly respectful of waterfront Toronto and the waterfront path system that goes there, and this is about a whole series of native plant materials, things that you would find at the island, and really get the energy of the wave pattern, the way it's denoted, as well as a suggestion of what the islands are about, but in a very urban form. The composition materials provide university accessibility to all the zones, and again, this palette of plant material is there for protection during the wintertime, as well as to really look great in the winter. The beaches and boardwalks, which we called Zone 5, you can see as this area over here, and it's really in keeping with the incredible success that Waterfront Toronto has already had with their beaches down by the waterfront that have developed with Claude with Sugar Beach and HTO that we worked on together. I remember we thought, will people really come and put their feet in the water? And of course they do, and they loved it. So we've integrated another great sand beach as an active area with an area of water play that's right beside it that will be frozen over the winter time so that people can skate. Anybody who's walked on Lake Ontario in the wintertime knows that it's one of the most magical things to do. And so this is about the real sort of integration of using the beach and the water throughout the seasons. No, I'm back again. Hold on. Beaches and board, okay. And the next zone is what we call the beaches and boardwalks. No, that one I did. Hold on. So, right. I can't seem to. Oh, there we go. This shows this incredible walkway that Will has designed, where you get up high and you see things so differently. You see the weather come in and you see the clouds, and you really get to see the ferries, how they come in. And one of the comments that we got from the public was that everything's getting so big around them that they want to have things that are high as well. And this is just off our east-west connector, and you can see that it becomes a real sort of strong connecting point on its own, with picking up on the language of some of the benches that Waterfront Toronto has already done with the wood, that also sort of talks about this energy and spirit of the way the water moves forwards and backwards. And there's a picture of our beach. We ended up with pink umbrellas, but the idea is that the umbrellas could be rented out. The seats could be, we wanted to have a different feeling. We wanted people to be able to bring their own because they're going to the island as well, but that there was a way that they would be able to rent seats and umbrellas and really sort of enjoy the perspective of being so close to the water, as well as the fact that the walkway, which is quite significantly off of the ground, also provides a quite amount of shade. And you can see how it links into this proposed sort of very robust, iconic building. I have nothing up yet to tell me to stop. And then our last area we call the pool and the cove, and that's over here. I would say historically these slips have been really important, because the reason why the freighters all went into them was because there was no turbulency there, that they were really quite protected, and they still are. And again, one of the things that we heard from the public was that the lake has just gotten so turbulent that there's no place to kayak any longer. And so we've done a two-tiered. One is to make this the quiet area where kayakers and small windsurfers can go. And the other was the fact that model boats are like so wonderful to play with that it becomes a real area for that level of people watching and activity as well. So am I going forwards or back? I think this is a great shot that really expresses what we're talking about with the east-west connection, both up above and on the ground. The wonderful kayaking and quiet waters where we can have motorboats, an amphitheater for kids to watch and play, and then a suggestion of a swimming pool, which has become very, very common in Europe, where people love to feel like they're swimming in the water. And we believe that it could feel like you really were swimming in the Great Lakes the way it was. The other thing I'd like to say is we also provided change rooms and washrooms by the swimming pool, which you can see over here. And in closing, because I'm not sure how much time I have. What? Am I done? Okay. Oh, there you are. I was looking for you there. You know, we've been pretty fast, and we were supposed to be one, and we ended up with 4, so I'm not sure that you got the thrust of all the thought and love that went into this design. But the design, we believe, really creates a wonderful new face for Harbour Square Park through its active integration of a very iconic and robust building for the Jack Layton Ferry Terminal. We really look at it as a casual building where, you know, people don't have to get dressed, where you can have a glass of wine, you can have a hot chocolate, you can wait for the ferries to come in. And we believe that this precinct that we've been designing and having so much fun with will just be another jewel in Waterfront Toronto's portfolio of incredible parks, all linked by the unifying waterfront promenade that goes from one end to the other, and which people are starting to discover and really enjoy. And then, Will, goodbye. Thank you. Oh, yes. This is ours or this is yours?